Hello, the internet. It has been too long since I have last been able to say that. Hello and welcome everyone to Enter the Popverse. I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, your host and a video producer here at the Popverse. This is our weekly roundup chat show in the Popverse, a virtual realm created by Read Pop, where we are breaking down all of the best TV, movies, and comics news for the week. As always, if you don't know, and that's okay, but I'm here to tell you, you can find these stories and so much more by visiting us over at thepopverse.com. Before we dive into our fabulous interview, which is why I know that you are all here today, I do want to let you know that right now, right this second, just as this episode was going live over on our website at thepopverse.com, we have our full Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Can you believe we live in the timeline where we have a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie, my friends? Our full review by Tiffany Babb, deputy editor, who you've seen here on the show before, is live on the website. I don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want to go too in depth about it because I know folks have their relative feelings about spoilers and some people don't want to know anything, but it's a very fun review. It's very positive. Go and check that out if you are excited to see anything that is coming your way from Guardians of the Galaxy. Jake Hafner, top of the afternoon and happy Friday, Popverse. Happy Friday to you as well. And thank you for being the first, besides our fine folks, to drop in and comment. Justin P, happy Friday. Excited for Leah Williams' Power Girl. Exterminator's Run was awesome. Well, I was going to say spoiler, but we put her beautiful face in the thumbnail, so it's hardly a spoiler. Why don't we get right to it? Please join me in welcoming the writer behind Exterminators, X Factor, Amazing Mary Jane, so much more. And now we thought it was a one shot, but it's actually an ongoing. The brains, the beauty, and the brawn behind Power Girl. Please join me in welcoming Leah Williams to the show. Hi, Leah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing so well. So I want to start out by asking you, in the fandom, some people abbreviate Power Girl to PG. So is the PG series going to be rated PG?
I think PG-13 is probably closer to accurate. But in World, they also abbreviate it as PG, and Omen started calling her Peej for short, like Peej. And John overheard that and he was like, that's cute. And it kind of sounds like Paige. Would you want that to be your name from now on? Because she's been trying to distance herself from Kara. So she's going by Paige now as her kind of, human alias name.
I'm so glad that you brought up Omen, because I want to ask as well, why is Omen such a great partner for Power Girl? And maybe are there any other DC Comics characters that you're excited to explore in this run?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I just love the dynamic between Omen and Power Girl. I think that they're really good foils to each other. And the way this came about was actually during the Lazarus Planet event when we were trying to set this up as a sort of like, I had a short in that with Power Girl. We wanted it to be kind of the pilot episode for her and this new journey we're taking her on, and realized, she could use like a confidant, a co-star, somebody she can get close with. And then my editor, Brittany Holzer, was like, what about Omen? What's Lilith up to these days?
Yeah.
And you could hear me and Paul, my other editor, just gasps on the other end of the call, like, yes, oh my God. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, they're perfect, because Power Girl is traumatized and Owen is a counselor. And like, there's all this like perfect kind of odd couple harmony that can go on between them.
Ooh, Odd Couple. That was not the reference that I was expecting for this book, and I love that so much.
They're so different, but it works. It works.
Will they be taping a line down the middle of a shared building room, and you can only stay on this side, I can only stay on this side?
Well, they will be kind of cohabitating at one point, and there will be some problems with their different lifestyles. Power Girl, she's a mess. She like full on chaotic living spaces. The way that I described it in a script one time was like, I think she'd be the type of person to have like panties and crushed LaCroix cans just scattered about. Like, you know, she doesn't have this aspect of her life together yet. She's working on it, but not yet.
Also, as someone who French is one of my native languages, thank you for pronouncing La Croix properly and not saying LaCroix. That just like, fan for life. You just won me over 100%. I kind of teased at the beginning. On Monday, we thought that this was going to be a one shot, and then on Wednesday, on New Comic Book Day, the news dropped that this was going to be an ongoing series. So, how does this feel for you to have your first big DC Comics project? Because obviously you've been working on Power Girl for a minute.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And there is a one shot. It's the Power Girl Special #1 with art by Marguerite Sauvage. And it's this whole story with Power Girl and Johnny Sorrow, who I think is just the most fascinating villain and totally underrated. So that's going to be the one shot, and it sort of segues into the ongoing. Not that you have to have read the one shot in order to, you know, pick up Power Girl #1 and understand what's going on, but there will be a one shot in addition to the ongoing series. And it's super thrilling. I found out about it pretty quickly too, really recently, and couldn't be more thrilled about it. It just feels like, you know, wide open spaces and really exciting horizons to explore more with this character who I've grown very attached to in writing her.
Legato Blue says, heck yes, Leah gets to write the Faceless Man. Okay, so
Marguerite and I were in perfect agreement that we think people should be conflicted about their attraction to Johnny Sorrow. Like, he's gonna, you know, sexy anime villain vibes is what I was going for with him. And I think we nailed it, honestly.
I mean, honestly, you know, not to dwell too far into this conversation, it's a very sexy cast of characters.
It is, yeah.
You use the phrase wide open spaces, and so of course my brain immediately smash cut to the Chicks song. And you are super well known online for creating playlists for these characters. I saw on Instagram that you just dropped the Power Girl playlist. If anyone hasn't listened, can you like tease what the Power Girl auditory vibe is?
The Power Girl auditory vibe. I think it's a lot different than what people might be initially expecting. Like if they were looking for folk or Americana or country or, you know, those sort of like prototypical good girl vibes, that kind of thing. It's not that. There's a little bit of that, but it's a little grittier and earnest as heck. Because that's kind of what I think Paige is all about, down to her core, earnest and honest and blunt, even when it's uncomfortable. So that's something that we're going to see in the one shot, which has its own sort of like sexy tango cabaret auditory vibes in that separate playlist. But Power Girl's playlist is just like ongoing. It's my actual writing playlist that I listen to when I'm working on stuff with her.
Oh, nice.
And I will continue adding songs to it until it's just this like behemoth, hundreds and hundreds of songs on there. So I don't know if I could necessarily narrow it down to like one genre or one vibe, but there are like certified bangers in there. You're going to find a new favorite song for sure.
Nice. We have a couple comments I think we should get to. So Sean Pace says, Power Girl is my all-time favorite superhero from JSA and prior solo series. Missed seeing her and was so glad to have her back. I just want her to be treated well, and it means a lot to me. I think, Leah, it's clear that you've put a lot of thought into this character. as well as into keeping her unique and distant from who Supergirl is.
I think so too. And the dynamic between Supergirl and Power Girl is something that, you know, we put a lot of thought into
Mhm.
the disambiguation of it in the one shot in particular, and how Kara feels about Paige versus how Paige feels towards Kara. And the reason that we sort of highlighted these differences is so that the reconciliation of it by the end, once they have kind of a new understanding of each other, it'll be all the sweeter for it.
Oh, that's so lovely. Justin P says, I love the dynamic between Jubilee, X-23, Boom Boom, and Dazzler. Will Power Girl have a core group of super friends to play off of? We mentioned Omen earlier, of course, and Johnny. Is there anyone else that you can tease us?
Not yet, not without getting into some spoilers, but that's definitely something that I've been thinking about in
Mhm.
terms of, wanting to expand her circle. She's still sort of in the like does not play well with others stage right now because she has imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But, working through that and getting to a better place in the one shot, and then, starting fresh with the series, beginning her adventures anew, that was really the intent.
And then Sean Pace comes back to say, my question on the new ongoing series, is there a minimum number of issues to expect? How far have you written?
Well, it's been outlined through the first arc,
Mhm.
and then we've discussed what's coming after that, but I haven't started working on it because that's way down the line.
Yeah. So it seems like there's potential for a long ongoing story, and if you build it, they will come. So if folks want to see as much Power Girl as possible, FOC pre-orders, signings, you gotta show out for Leah.
And for Power Girl, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and for Power Girl now, Paige. Okay, I have just a couple questions left, and one of them I want to ask to any aspiring writers. You have so many incredible artists who have contributed to this. We have John Boy Myers covers, we have Marguerite Sauvage, we have Eduardo who's joining you on the ongoing series. What is your best advice to comic book writers who want to work with artists for the first time?
My number one piece of advice for people looking to get into pretty much any creative industry
Mhm.
is find your peer group. Because if you approach the titans of whatever their respective industry is, and you're like, give me a leg up into this industry, they're going to be like, security, like you need to find people who are creative like you, hungry like you, and driven, and who can also push you to be better.
Mhm.
I'm really fortunate in that I found my peer group and we bounce ideas off of each other, and they're also my best friends. And we've sort of grown together as we've moved through the industry. And it's also, especially in the comics industry, which, there's like no union. And if you're a freelancer, it can be kind of hard. There's not a lot of protections for artists or writers or letterers or colorists in the comics industry. So finding your peer group is another way of sort of like linking arms so that you're stronger together. Because it's a lot harder to take advantage of a group of people than a single person who's kind of an island unto themselves. So find your peer group.
Very well said. And then lastly, but not leastly, because here in the Popverse, we are celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics. What are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on?
That I'm not working on,
So no
like what
Power
I've
Girl
been
stuff.
reading or
Yeah, anything. Anything that's making you happy right now.
okay. So I just started The Priory of the
Mhm.
Orange Tree.
Yes! Oh
And
my
yes, it's
god!
so good. And it has one of those plots like Game of Thrones where you think it's slow and then it starts like slowly escalating. And by the time you get to the end of the book, you're like looking around like, how did I get here? Oh my gosh, this is insane. And I really love plots like that. Gideon the Ninth is another
Yes.
book that I'm obsessed with because it kind of has the same effect. And just really enjoying The Priory of the Orange Tree. And once I finish this, I'm going to get the prequel that just came out.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you do high fantasy at some point in the future.
Oh, I love high fantasy. That's like my jam. Yeah.
Leah Williams, thank you so much for joining us here in the Popverse. Thank you for coming to share all of these teases and knowledge about Power Girl. We
Of
are
course.
excited for the one shot. We're dying for the series. And I hope that we'll have you back to talk more comics in the future.
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my friends, how amazing was that? How lovely was it to have Leah come and let us crawl around inside her amazing little brain for 10 minutes? I am dying for this. I can't wait. But we've talked a lot of comics so far today on Enter the Popverse. It only feels correct that we talk a bit of movies because in addition to all these incredible DC announcements this week, we have gotten a ton of fun announcements coming out of CinemaCon. So I am bringing back to Enter the Popverse my unofficial co-host and everybody's favorite guest, Graeme McMillan. Hi, Graeme.
Hello there, unofficial co-host. I'm not worthy. No, that's a terrible idea.
I'm working on some new lower thirds designs, and I threaten to have that be your title in future lower thirds. Okay, so for anyone here who maybe doesn't know, what is CinemaCon? Why have all these movies and trailers and such been announced this week?
So CinemaCon is basically Comic-Con for movie theater owners. It
Mhm.
is an invite-only event that is for people who work in the movie industry, people who are movie critics, people who are movie journalists. It takes place in Las Vegas, and it is a week-long event where all the studios come and basically say, this is what we're doing for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
This year was kind of really exciting. If you wanted to see, for example, the Flash movie 3 months early, it was there. If you wanted to see 20 minutes of Mission Impossible months before it comes out, they did that as well. Across the Spiderverse, they showed 14 minutes of that as well. You know, there was a lot of stuff there. Studios really came out and were like, no, we love movie theaters. We want to show you what we're doing. That was the theme this year. Almost every studio that did a presentation did a we love movie theaters. Streaming is nice, but we want people to come to the theater again, and this is what we're doing for it.
What do you think of all the geeky stuff that came out? What hit the most? What were people most excited for?
Me personally, or people in general? I
Let's
think the
let's do
sorry.
both.
I gotta be honest. I'm really excited for the Mission Impossible stuff.
You and Jason Inman are like holding it down for the Tom Cruise franchise.
I'm sorry. I just think Mission Impossible is really fun.
Can you tell
yeah,
by the way from the ads that the only thing that I've purchased recently is cat food?
I love that
Because
very
it's
much.
all we have on all of these.
They showed 20 minutes of Mission Impossible and a trailer which is not officially out, and I strongly suspect it's going to be happening next week with Guardians when it comes out. I think overall the biggest thing was probably showing the Flash, which was a calculated risk that seems to have paid off for them.
Yeah.
There are certain people in Popverse, and you know who you are because you're watching this right now, who were convinced the Flash was probably going to be a dumpster fire, and that all the hype about it's the greatest film ever was just the studio trying to get people excited. But the response to that screening seems to be that it actually might be a good film, which is obviously what Warner Brothers was hoping for, but I think it's a best case scenario for them as well, that it has created this buzz.
Yeah. How do you think? Oh, Jason, Mission Impossible, everything.
It is so. Mission Impossible is so good. I know you're not a Mission Impossible fan.
This is a drag on me personally because I am like not a super Mission Impossible fan.
I think the Mission Impossible films are so much fun, but like Jason and I can just have this. You don't have to be part of it. This can be ours.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's funny. I think that the various studios were good, but the thing that sticks out for me honestly is that Disney didn't really bring anything for Marvel.
Okay,
like they only showed
because Spiderverse didn't do a lot either, but people were like hyped on like the standees and like everything.
But Spiderverse is also Sony, right? And Sony brought 14 minutes of Spiderverse, which apparently from everything I've heard from everyone who saw it was as visually amazing as the first film was.
As one would expect, but like the Marvel stuff seems lackluster, dare I say?
The Marvel presentation was the Marvels trailer, which came out 2 weeks ago, and a clip of Guardians of the Galaxy that is on YouTube.
Yeah, and like screenings have been happening. The premiere is yesterday. Like screenings of Guardians have been happening. Again, we have the full review over the popverse.com.
No, exactly. Like they could have done what Warner Brothers did with Flash. They could have shown the film,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, there's theories that they're basically saving everything for San Diego this year. That they
Well,
don't
and
want to do anything to ruin the San Diego surprise.
we as you and I know, we just had Star Wars Celebration, which featured a lot of other Lucasfilm adjacent content.
It's funny. Disney ended their presentation with an exclusive Indiana Jones clip, which was the same clip that we saw in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just hoping that people didn't go to both shows, I guess.
I guess I think a lot of people did or covered both of them.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward.
Do you think for people who are like panicking, because I'm getting these questions on Twitter and Instagram, for people who are panicking about the state of the MCU, do you think that's premature, even based on what we did see at CinemaCon?
Yes, because everything I'm hearing about Guardians is that it's the best one for a long time. Like
Yeah.
it's the best Marvel film for years. It's a bit worrying that it's by the guy who's now going off to run DC.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Marvel just needs a couple of really strong films, and people are going to stop worrying. I think Phase 4 was not the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some stinkers in there. I think Ant-Man 3 was not particularly good either. But I think it just needs, like, they'll have 2 hits, and then I think people will go, okay, they can do this again. That's fine. They had a wobble, but we're back on now.
I think the lesson we all need to learn from Guardians 3 is that put Linda Cardellini in everything as a talking animal, maybe.
It's been true since Freaks and Geeks. So sure, yeah, I will agree with that. I'll sign on with that.
Yeah. Marvel was like, we wasted her as Mrs. Hawkeye, so we're going to bring her back as Mrs. Rocket.
I keep forgetting she was Mrs. Hawkeye because someone was like, oh, she's in Guardians. And I was like, finally. And then it was pointed out, oh, no, she's been there for years. I just forgot.
Yeah, well, all 12 minutes. We talked a little bit about Spiderverse, but like, is there anything else from Spiderverse that we missed that people got like super excited about or that they need to be checking out?
I mean, Spiderverse, I think is going to be. I think it's arguably going to be the film of the summer. It's going to be full of Easter eggs. It's going to be a film that people are going to go back and see over and over and over again. But what I think the CinemaCon footage showed was it's also an emotional story, right? It's you're just like, it's over there. No, but it's. I think it's worth pointing out that like this is a story that works for audiences because even if you don't know any of the spider stuff, you can just be like, oh, I get where this is coming from. This isn't just Easter eggs like other Marvel stories. Ahem.
But Mayday is there, and that is the most important Easter egg. Give me the MC2. It's all I want.
You're like, I want Avengers Next or whatever they were called.
Yes, 100%. I sure do. Jason Inman asks, so the big Spider-Verse thing they keep dropping hints at is who is the voice of Scarlet Spider?
It's me. I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea.
I have a guess.
Okay, what's your guess?
It's based on... So Scarlet Spider... This is my conspiracy theory hat. It's made of tinfoil, and it's shaped like a swan from a Chinese takeout.
I love your many hats that you have in the show, but let's go.
It's usually the conspiracy theory hat, honestly. So Scarlet Spider is another Peter Parker clone. If you're not like a super deep cut Spider-Man fan, there's about 100 Peter Parker clones. We had a Peter Parker in Spiderverse who got nerfed very early in the movie, who was voiced by an actor who is also coming back to play a prominent part in the Disney animated Wish. And I think it's going to be Chris Pine.
That would be wonderful. I am a big Chris Pine fan.
Yeah.
And I would always be happy for Chris Pine to be doing more things. I am a big fan of that Dungeons & Dragons film. So yes, anything we can do to get more Chris Pine around, I'm very happy about that.
I haven't seen Dungeons & Dragons, but folks...
Oh my god, it's really fun! It's really fun!
You know me, I don't like fun. Graeme, we're winding down, so I want to ask, because we've kind of gone through all the big nerd stories. Of course, as always, if you want to read some of the stuff that we had on the screen or you want more in-depth, all of this is over at thepopverse.com. Is there any overarching takeaways or lessons besides we love movie theaters and we don't want them to die that you think folks need to be taken away from what we've seen so far?
I think the importance of genre films still. is really there. Even in the Power Man thing, where they really don't have, they don't have superheroes by themselves, but they had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They had they had two different Transformers projects they were talking
I'm excited for that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, by the way. I thought that trailer was sick.
The trailer's amazing, and also seeing the trailer on the big screen, it looks even better, which was a joy to see. Power Man also had Quiet Place. They had the new Krasinski If or IF, depending on what it's called. There's a lot of things out there that really shows that genre still was drawing people to theaters.
Yeah. I like that because sometimes I worry we're going to go back to the rom-coms.
I think
that's hilarious because I loved Crazy Rich Asians.
No, but I do think like science fiction and fantasy is here to stay as like the big spectacle that's going to get people to go to the big screen.
Mm-hmm. Graeme, thank you for joining us here in the Popverse today. I make you do this every time because I know you don't want any more followers. Where can people follow you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Graeme M, at GraemEM. And I'm on Popverse. I'm on thepopverse.com.
There you go. Thank you for joining us. We'll probably
as always
see you next week.
Bye until then.
Bye. Sorry, Graeme. We've already sent him away. We'll bring you back. Clark Bull, DC Comics own, says, Graeme, if you need a publicist for your background, put your camera on a minimum of 2 omnibuy.
Clark is also doing this because he knows that I owe him a phone call and have done for 2 days. So thanks, Clark. Sorry.
I love that he's dragging your video setup. I think this is very funny for me personally. Also, because I just love bringing you back to the stream without your consent. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us live. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to be live, and it is so much fun to get to come here and talk to you and bring your questions and your comments into the chat. Leah was so awesome, and we have a lot of really fantastic comic book guests lined up coming in future. So I hope if this is your first time, if you came for Leah, that you will stick around and see what else we have. Wow, a Clark Bull sighting, one of the best dressed people in comics. That should be a list that we should write. Best dressed people in comics. I do want to let you know, my friends, I know it's devastating to hear, but next week is also going to be a pre-recorded episode. We do have a wonderful guest who is joining us, but next week, Team Popverse, aka me, aka Ashley, and look, now I can show you my Marvel shirt that I've been wearing the whole time for the DC interview. Jason Aaron original Nightcrawler. I am going to be at MagicCon Minneapolis next week, starting on Wednesday. So if you are in Minneapolis, come out to MagicCon, come get some geeky gaming on, come say hi to me and everybody else from the Read Pop team who is working so hard to make that event so much fun. Also, I've never been to Minneapolis before. So if you are from the Twin Cities, I am at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important. Please come over there and leave me some recommendations on things to do, stuff to eat, comic book stores to go to, because I am going to need some help. If you liked any of these stories, if you want to know more, if you want to read some of the stuff that we put up on screen, as always, you can find all the stories and videos referenced today down in the description of this YouTube video for your future reference. Thank you for joining us in the Popverse, a virtual realm created by Read Pop, where we are always celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics. And while you are over, of course, checking out everything at thepopverse.com, why not get yourself a Popverse membership so you never miss out on any of the exclusive video content? Ooh, I almost spoiled something. Soon to be content and written content that we have going up there at all times. Okay, my friends, I hope I will see you next week in Minneapolis. If not, I will see you here in the Popverse. I have been Ashley Victoria Robinson. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.